This is ESPN ESPORTS. I'm Ardo Cal. Happy to be joined by ZeRo. Big announcement made over the weekend. The streamer wars continue, it seems. ZeRo now the latest top streamer to join Facebook Gaming. Massive announcement here. A massive get for Facebook Gaming, and there's a lot to unpack here. First of all, ZeRo, congratulations on the announcement. What can you tell us about joining Facebook Gaming? Any details you can share?
Hey, thank you. Well, first of all, I'm excited to be doing the move. Facebook came with a lot of very interesting proposals. They're going to be putting their whole infrastructure behind me so I can, have a lot more resources in general to make big plays. I'm just really excited. To be working with such a big company, close like this, it's insane. I never thought it would happen when I first started streaming to 3-5 viewers, back in 2011 or something. So for me, it's been exciting all around.
What made you decide on Facebook?
I will say the main thing that Facebook did that no one else did was the fact that Facebook has this infrastructure that's just ridiculous, right? They have Instagram, they have the Facebook platform in general. They have just so many things that is under the Facebook umbrella, just to say. And it's just the fact that whenever I wanted to do any kind of project or anything in general, I always had to kind of just scale down my expectations because it's kind of just me working with my resources, right? But for example, now if I want to host an event for charity, I can just hit up Facebook, right? If I want to, interact with like a celebrity, or if I want to, for example, do like a special type of event, Facebook is right there to make it happen, right? So there's going to be a lot of instances where I'm going to have, the team of Facebook at my disposal, and I can kind of just be like, hey guys, I want to make this cool thing happen. Let's make it happen, right? And Facebook's going to be right there to make it happen. And I feel like I'm going to have a much more, personal relationship with Facebook in general than in any other platform. So it just makes them so much more special than pretty much anything else, in the market, really, for me.
Is there anything you can share contract wise, like terms, anything like that?
No, I don't think I'm actually allowed to speak of any type of
Fair enough.
contract details specifically,
Yeah, that's fair enough. So take us through, if you can, just talking with Facebook. And actually, let's start here. How long into your content creation journey or streaming journey did you think it was a viable to sign exclusively somewhere? Because it seems like this is a very recent thing. A lot of people point to Ninja joining Mixer as sort of the launch pad. But how long were you thinking about this?
I've always been a very open person to kind of just to see the options in general, right? Like I've never been the kind of person that's just kind of just say, nah, that's not an option. I always think that I was pretty open with people in general, where I'm kind of, available to discuss. I'm able to talk about things, and kind of just evaluate them at face value rather than just kind of have like a preconceived opinion of things, right? So for me, I've always been open. I just never really closed the door. And, when the opportunity came to knock on my door, I took a look and I'm like, hey, this kind of makes sense. I did my research, I took my time. Really, it's been a decision that I thought long and hard about. It wasn't like I got a phone call and then, yep, it's signed. It wasn't really like that. It was a very long process, really. A lot of back and forth, really. And, I always thought about not just myself, but also my community as well. I'll say pretty much the biggest concern I've had with all of this move has been my community, simply because I really care about them. And, for example, one thing that I'm going to be doing during this move is that I'm going to be giving away a free shirt to all the subscribers that were subbed for a year or longer, just because, I really care about them. I don't want them to feel like, just because, I'm switching platforms, that doesn't mean I appreciate them for their long support. I want them to be able to get a free shirt, exclusive logo that I worked on it behind the scenes. And I want them to feel like, hey, I supported ZeRo, and then he's able to, get me something back, at no cost at all. And, I want them to feel appreciated for that. So, I hope those little things and other things that I'm working on can, come forward. And then I can pretty much say thank you to the people that really brought me to be in a spot like this.
In watching some of your streams and just your content, it seems like you have a very loyal fan base. How concerned were you going to a new platform? How much concern was there that your fans would follow you to? It's easy as putting in a different URL in a website, in a browser, but that's not always the case, that 100% of your fan base will follow you to a different platform. So how much of a concern was that?
I think there's definitely going to be some people that, will just not make the move. But I also think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to make the move. What it really comes down to is that I feel like the content that I provide, I feel like is unique enough where people are going to be compelled to not miss out on the experience. Like, I really feel like when my viewers have the itch to watch a ZeRo stream, right? they can't just watch another streamer and get the exact same type of, not necessarily reward, but same experience, right? For example, this is why I've been branching off my stream to just go from being, a really good Smash player, because truth be told, there's a lot of good Smash player streams, right? But what makes a ZeRo stream different from a good, Smash Bros. Player stream, right? And for me, I've been doing the variety streaming. It's just the way I address my viewers, the way I talk, the way I keep it, in a lot of ways, I keep it honest with my viewers. Sometimes I'm even too blunt. Matter of fact, it gets me in trouble sometimes, but I really want people to feel like they can get a unique experience. So because of the, pretty much this entire year, I've just been working on that and just kind of bringing a unique experience to people. And I feel like I really been able to do that. So when it comes down to the Switch, I really feel like, yes, some people are not going to make the Switch, but I also feel like a lot of people are going to make the Switch simply because it's like, well, I want to keep watching ZeRo, and I'm not going to stop watching ZeRo because suddenly he has a different URL. I don't want to miss out on the variety streams. I don't want to miss out on, the late night talks and all that. So, I mean, I think that's what it's going to come down to, really. How unique are you in the market? And if you can bring something to the table that really is, the only item in the table that's kind of like it.
So your streams will be exclusive to Facebook. What about other content? Like, will Facebook and Facebook properties be the only source for everything you create? Like, is your Twitter account going away? Is there no more YouTube videos?
No. And none of that stuff is really going to change. What's really going to, I will say the main two things that are going to change is just the fact that all my live stream content, Facebook is going to be part of that. So like all my live stream gaming content is going to be focused mainly on Facebook gaming, right? And then, but, if you're a fan of the YouTube channel, if you're a fan of my other social medias and all that, really, that's not going to change. For example, if you're a fan of the ZeRo Instagram, which I've really been growing, Facebook is really going to drill support for that. So they're going to help me do more things. And there's a lot of cool things that I'm going to do on Instagram as well. Not to mention on Facebook, it's going to be a much more stronger presence on both those platforms, because definitely been working on the Instagram a lot, and Facebook is going to help with those two things quite a bit. But if you've been a fan of the daily uploads on YouTube or anything like that, or the random tweets and all that, that's not going to change. So not to be concerned, really. The only thing that's really going to change is just that when I go live for a live stream, it's going to be on Facebook Gaming.
Fair enough. What do you make of all of these announcements and basically what people are calling the streamer wars? As somebody who now has made news in this space, what do you make of it all?
I mean, I think that it pretty much stems from just the fact that, content creators are very valuable in the market right now. And, they're getting a lot of very good opportunities. It's just kind of comes down to like, well, you have a very successful person, and then, well, this person drives a big portion of audience for these platforms, and then, other platforms are trying to get into the space, so then they want to, have these streamers on their platform, right? So then they can, build themselves up within this space, right? I don't think it's anything unnatural, right? I will say it's something that happens in a lot of different industries, right? Simply because, the space simply allows for competition, and now there's just more competition, really. I think competition is just natural in business, really. So
yeah, it's a very interesting time. And actually, at least since the Ninja announcement, I believe you are the first Smash content creator at a major level to have an announcement public like this. And I'm wondering what you think this will mean for the Smash community, because this is a pretty big this is pretty big. This is big news, and I wonder what will happen from here. Not just as a content perspective, but also from an esports perspective. But let's start with the content. Do you feel like this opens the floodgates for more Smash content creators to have the possibility to get these kind of contracts and these kind of deals?
I mean, I think absolutely. I think a lot of people look up to me when it comes down to what I'm doing. Like, for example, when I started, doing heavy type of, streaming and all that, there were a lot of people that were like, well, ZeRo seems to be going all in on this streaming thing after he retired within the Smash space. Sure, you can see that in other scenes and other gaming communities where like other people did it, right? But then people were like, oh, ZeRo is doing it with the Smash. So then like I feel more compelled to follow the ZeRo steps. Or like, oh, for example, ZeRo is, doing the daily uploads on videos and then the daily streams, right? So that seems to be like the way you should do it, to be like a, like a content creator and all that. So like, I definitely feel like a lot of people definitely take notes on how I do it. So I think while we're making this big announcement, I think a lot of people are going to say, wow, so this wasn't just something that was like unattainable for like, people within our industry, right? So it's going to feel a lot closer to home to a lot of these people. And it's definitely going to open the floodgates, as you mentioned, right? And I think it's gonna be a big announcement because Obviously, I'm not able to see it because we're doing this before it's actually announced. But I think it's gonna be a big impact. I mean, I'm excited to see the comments. Really.
Yeah, I really, yeah, you're right. We are recording this before the announcement is officially made. However, I think it's safe to assume that the announcement is going to be very, very big and very well received. And I know you don't speak for Facebook, and I'm asking this your opinion as ZeRo. Do you think it would be like, I wonder where this goes, what the strategy of different platforms will be, including Facebook gaming. I wonder if it's simply try to find the streamers with the biggest numbers, regardless of what games they play, variety, Smash, League of Legends, whatever, or do they focus on one game? Like, does Facebook gaming, for example, become the home for the best Smash streamers? Which strategy do you think would be successful?
I mean, truth be told, I'm not exactly, I can't speak for Facebook
Sure.
Gaming and their plans, yes, so I'm not a spokesperson for them. But at least in my opinion and my limited view, simply because I'm not omega into the business know and all of like what's more optimal, right? So not necessarily advice of any kind. But in my opinion, I feel like it's good to diversify. And definitely when they approach me, they weren't just like, well, you're a Smash person, right? So we want you. It was more like we want ZeRo, right? Specifically, right? And from the way they worded it is that they were very interested in what I do, and they thought that I bring something unique to the platform, right? So I definitely think that probably a way that I think will be effective is to try to get people that bring something unique, right? Because like I said, it's kind of like the example of the table full of items, right? Like for example, if you have 10 of each item within the table, right? If you take one of those 10 items and now they have nine, it is still nine of that item that you have within the table, and there is still quantity, right? But if you only have one item of a certain type on the table and you take that away, that's no longer in the table, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the line of thought that I think will probably be the most valuable, which is why I think that the type of content that I bring was interesting to them because, like, I'm not just a Smash Bros. Streamer. I try to do a lot more than that, and my stream kind of has become an amalgamation of different things, right? Yes, sure, I can, play Smash and not lose a game online for 10 hours, right? But, I can also host those late night deep talks. We
Right.
also bring in a lot of anime goodies. We also do a lot of IRL content. For example, we were doing some IRL content with motocross stuff. So there's a lot of unique things that I'm bringing to the table. Not to mention that my attitude is a lot different from the usual streamer. In fact, I make fun of the usual stereotype of streamer a lot because I don't like how it is. And I think there's a little bit of fun side to be poked in there. I try to keep it different. But all in all, I think that if you follow the principle of keeping the table unique, then I think that's where you'll get probably the most value, in my opinion.
I asked that question to you because I found a lot of your videos to be very intelligent. I mean, you made one recently about why Nintendo doesn't support competitive Smash, and I thought the points you made were very valid and very well researched and well thought out. And I wonder, though, the other thought that came into my mind when I heard this, and I know that I'm only talking to ZeRo here, but as someone who knows the industry, who knows at least the Smash community inside and out, and as somebody who has been through that esports ecosystem and knows everything there is to know about the relationship between Nintendo and the competitive community, right? The other thing that the light bulb that went out of my head when I heard that you signed with Facebook was, imagine if Facebook becomes the savior, might be too strong of a word, but the home for Smash esports. In the
Right.
sense that Facebook picks up the slack where Nintendo doesn't necessarily do so. And suddenly it becomes to the level of League of Legends. And suddenly or that at least there's an opportunity for that to happen. Could you ever see that happening?
I mean, I think Facebook, of all companies, has the resources to pretty much do anything they want, really. So, I mean, they have a lot of resources. They have a lot of incredibly intelligent and talented people working within their company. And the umbrella of Facebook is just absolutely massive, right? So, I mean, really, I mean, if there's something they want it done, they're going to get it done one way or another, right? But I think that the only problem is that Nintendo, one way or another, they're very protective of their IPs, right? And they're very protective of how things are portrayed, the branding of things and all that. From my experience, working with Nintendo people and working with Nintendo directly, I always get the impression that the way things are presented, the way things are talked about, the way things look, the way they're advertised, the way everything is handled, they care about the entire chain from step one to step 10. They try to keep as little possible intermediaries as possible. They like to do things directly because they like to do it the Nintendo way, right? Like they're very unlikely to trust another company, entity, or group to do things the way Nintendo will do, which is why it's been always very difficult to work with them, right? Because they're very protective of their brand, but it's also protective of their games, their characters, and everything, their IP in general. So I think that all things considered, it really comes down to how you approach Nintendo, how you want to work with them. Generally, they seem to be on the more protective side. So while some things may seem like common sense, right, from an outside perspective towards Nintendo, Nintendo will feel completely different because they just see it a completely different way. Which is why I tell the fans all the time, it's not necessarily that Nintendo doesn't want to support Smash, because recently they have been doing more and they clearly want to support Smash. It's just that to me, it seems like they want to support Smash in their way that they want to support Smash, and they want to address Smash in the way that they want to do it, which is not the same way the fans may want to. At the end of the day, the perspective of a fan who's a fan of the game, the series, the esport, and the company making the game that owns all the APs are just completely different, and they're never going to meet eye to eye simply because it's just two completely different perspectives, even if it's towards the same topic, right?
Yeah. I highly recommend people check out the video we made. It's on your YouTube channel. You go into a deep dive into this topic here. Let me go back to your career now. I mean, you made this decision. How many are we approaching 2 years now where you made this decision to be a content creator, and now
Right.
this monumental leveling up of your career, Chris, or a milestone in your career. So where do you feel you are? Where does this deal with Facebook put you in terms of, comfort, in terms of career happiness and enjoyment?
I mean, I feel like it's just the beginning in terms of my career. I mean, there's a lot of things that I want to do, a lot of things that I want to accomplish, right? I feel like this is going to be one of the biggest milestones in my career simply because I'm going to be able to elevate pretty much everything I do to the next level thanks to Facebook gaming. So I'm actually really excited to see just how, in general, I'm going to be able to manage things, how we're going to be here from, the next couple years and everything. So I'm actually really excited in that angle to see how far I can take it, really. And then in terms of everything else, I mean, I'm 24. So I mean, there's a lot of things that are gonna happen. I don't think I'm really going anywhere within the gaming space anytime soon. Really, the beautiful thing about gaming is that you don't necessarily have to be, especially in content creation, you don't have to be like in top, the peak of your physical condition or something like that. The requirements for you to be within the scene are very low. You can work from home. You don't have to travel too much and everything. So I mean, I feel like it's very forgiving in that sense. For example, I'm a big fan of motocross, right? And the discrepancies or the differences between content creation business and motocross business is so different. Like, for example, motocross racers have to be in their peak, very very peak of their physical condition. They cannot do that well past their 30s because their body's no longer there 100%. Even if it's 90%, it's not good enough, right? So like it just kind of just says like, wow, gaming is truly the future in a lot of ways because it's something that really truly anyone can do. I mean, I'm not the most physically fit person while I'm doing my best, to get there. Currently doing a lot of changes personally. I've dropped almost 80 pounds so far, right?
Wow, good for you. What have
Thank
you
you.
done? What's the secret? What have you been doing?
I mean, there's no secret really. I mean, the way I've explained it, right, is that it basically just comes down to just eating less and knowing how much you can eat by losing weight. So for example, for me, if I eat 1,500 calories a day, I know I will lose a certain amount of weight. So it just kind of just comes down to eating under that number, being mindful of every food choice that you make. For example, yes, we did eat a little bit over that during Thanksgiving. All right,
I was
I'm
gonna
sorry.
say, I mean, Thanksgiving is an exception, right?
Yeah. But like, what matters is not what you do on special occasions. What matters is what you do from Monday to Friday, right?
Okay.
That makes sense, right? So like, that's kind of how you shape it up. I mean, it comes down to habits, right? Like, like, do you really want to have that drink, for example, or do you really want to eat two sandwiches? Do you really want to eat, for example, I don't know. Let me give you an idea, right? Like something greasy rather than like a salad and some chicken, right? It kind of comes down to like that. It's mindful choices constantly every day. You don't really have to exercise that much. I personally try to exercise a lot because I'm trying to build myself up for motocross, which is a very demanding, sport. But like for the average person that just wants to lose weight, it really just comes down to just you losing weight, and being a little more active, walking more, deciding to take the stairs instead of the escalator every time. Simple things like that can really
Oh.
take you a long way. Yeah.
So do you count calories in an app, like use MyFitnessPal, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, really, you
Yeah.
can count calories any kind of way. Sometimes I don't even use an app. I just literally just count it down manually.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, this was 300 calories. This was 196. We'll say 200, right? Like I approximate, right? And then we just gather them up, and it worked out. Yeah.
Well, congratulations. That is monumental in itself. That much
Thank
weight
you.
loss. That's terrific. You mentioned something about motocross there. I just want to dig into that just for a second. How much involvement do you have, like, in competing in motocross right now, or is this a dream of yours that you're trying to attain?
I mean, I will say that it's definitely more of a dream
Okay.
simply because, I'm just not physically fit or skillful enough to make a living via racing as much as I wish I could, right? But I try to be very involved with the scene. I plan to do content for it. I've been doing content on Instagram quite a bit for it. I've gotten myself to hang out with different professionals, racers, and people within the motocross industry. I've gone to an event as well. So like, there's a lot of things that I want to do within the sport, and I try to do it as much as I can during the week without it getting on the way of like my 9 to 5, if you want to put it that way, right? Which is gaming, right? And so far it's been going great. It's a really good way for me to like bring out the stress, off the week, because it's just a physical sport. You're kind of just doing it, and it helps you kind of just, release yourself of like the bad things, the bad vibes, if I want to put it that way, right? And I mean, if I keep training and all that, I don't know where it's gonna go, right? I mean, if I get really good, sure, I'll go to a couple races, and see where I stack up, but racing, especially motocross professionally, is one of the hardest things you could ever possibly do. And there's so many different talented riders that they race every day, they race every weekend, they practice every day, they live, breathe, and sleep motocross, right? And they're not professionals yet, so it's very demanding. So I feel like it's a little unrealistic for me to say, oh, I'm gonna do it, right? In the back of my head, it's I would like to, I will try, but we don't know where that's gonna go, right?
It's on the bucket list.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So a lot of people watching this are fans of your Smash content. So will motocross ever, like, Smash? Your Smash content is your bread and butter. You will
Yeah.
still pump out the same volume of Smash content that you normally do. Motocross just happens to be an icing on the cake, so to speak.
Yeah, I'll say it's exactly like that. I mean, I'm just trying to diversify myself. Like I don't think I'm ever going to stop doing Smash in general, simply because there's always room to do it. In terms of video streams and all that, there's just always content to do. So I don't think it's ever going to go away. I'm just trying to diversify myself. Like, instead of being a 100% all Smash kind of guy, maybe I can be like a 30-40% Smash guy, and 50-60% other things. Like a little mix of everything. Like 10% motocross, 50 30-40% of the games, 10% like some IRL, me talking to the camera kind of deal, trying to mix it up, keep the bag a little bit different, keep people expecting, and not get stagnant, right? And kind of doing mixes of different things. I think that's important. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I don't think I'm ever gonna like drop Smash. There's just not, I don't think it's a thing that's ever gonna happen, really.
Let's ask a couple questions from your competitive career. I find your career to be fascinating.
Hmm.
You went on this incredible run, right? 56 tournaments in a row, really unheard of in any field of competition, let alone esports, let alone Smash, right? Like,
Right.
and I find it interesting. I mean, I've only been covering Smash for a short period of time, but what I have noticed is it feels to me like fans are very much of love to cheer for the underdog story. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
when I think about that, to your story, you won 56 tournaments, and I have to wonder, there are some situations where fans will cheer against great players simply because the story is better for their opponent at the
Yeah.
same tournament, a match after they had been cheering for that person. So I'm
Yeah.
wondering, like, how was that journey for you from a reaction perspective and the crowd, and how much people either supported you or wanted you to lose? Like, what was that journey like?
I mean, I think I've said this before, but I mean, it kind of just took the fun out of it a lot of the time, simply because, I mean, no one likes to be the bad guy, especially because I never really set out to be the bad guy. I just wanted to win events because, it was my living, because it was what I was good at. So I'm just trying to win as much as I can. It kind of just happened that I won every single one for a while, right? But my goal was always to try to win as much as I possibly could. What ended up happening was that people just resented me because, the tournaments ended up being about me a lot of the time. And I think that for a lot of viewers, they just kind of got tired of it. I also recognized that maybe my playstyle wasn't like what people wanted to see a lot of the time, so like for them, it was kind of like I was ruining the tournament experience in a lot of ways. So they just kind of wanted to see me go down. And plus, it was always more exciting to see someone beat me than me just win again, right? So I mean, I understand where they're coming from, but at the end of the day, that negativity kind of ruined my fun for tournaments a lot of time, which is why I feel like tournaments in general for me are a lot less fun. And it's a big reason of why I quit, simply because I mean, I don't want to make the next 20, 30 years of my life just constantly being a bad guy. Like imagine clocking in at work and the whole office just dislikes you the whole time. It's just you don't feel welcome, you don't feel having fun. So I think it's kind of natural to kind of want to gravitate away from it.
How far into your streak did you start to feel like this?
I want to say it really started happening within like 4 or 5 tournaments in.
Wow.
Yeah, it happened really quick. People get tired of it really quick. Like after one tournament, was like, wow, ZeRo's really good. 2 tournaments, man, who's gonna beat him now? 3 tournaments, we need to stop him. 4 tournaments, this is too much. 5 tournaments, enough. It was kind of like that.
Wow. So what were you? So take me into the 2015 MLG World Finals then. So you're sitting on stage, you're facing Nairo, right? If you remember, can you just describe what your mindset was like in that moment? Like after going through upwards of 50 tournaments of this sort of sentiment, take me into that moment sitting on stage there for the final.
I mean, I was kind of a little bit of sad because I was like, man, growing the number is gonna, it'll make it less likely for someone to come in and beat it, right? So I was like, man, every little number is gonna count now a lot. Okay. And I was also like, it's gonna happen eventually. I mean, I'm gonna lose at some point, probably, right? Like I don't know if I'm gonna just go. Like there were a lot of points during the streak where I was like, maybe I should just quit right now, so I just never lose, right? Matter of fact, I actually wanted to quit at Evo because I was like, well, I just won Evo, winning every game. I'm on the streak. If I quit right now, that's it. No one beat me, right? So we could just call it that. That's more legendary. I actually wanted to originally quit, but what ended up happening is that I got approached by TSM. So I was like, well, I guess I'll keep playing, right? It was kind of like that, really. Okay. So, yeah, I really feel like if TSM didn't approach me back then, I probably would have quit right there, to be honest. Simply because it would have made the narrative more exciting, and then we would have never had that moment happen, I realized after
Where were you in the streak at that point when TSM approached you?
It was probably like 46 or something like that.
Okay.
It was like 40 something, right? So I mean, it was a very good streak. I mean, it still wouldn't be beat by today's standard, but like I feel like I definitely should have maybe thought about it more because I feel like it would have made it more legendary, right? It would be the stories of the unbeatable 56 tournament win streak. That would have been cooler, right? But it is what it is. I knew I was gonna get beat eventually if I kept playing. It's just gonna happen. When everyone is trying to beat you and like all the top 10 talent is literally just looking at you and seeing what every little mistake you make and all the scrutiny is on your play style, they're eventually going to find cracks. Nothing that I did was ever unbeatable. It was always like I was just picking the better options. But when everybody's looking at your better options, they no longer become good anymore. So it was. I truly thought it was just a matter of time eventually at that point.
Which win is the sweetest one for you now when you look back on it a couple years later?
It definitely gotta be, I want to say Evo, simply because it was like the most meaningful win outside of Smash. It was the win that everyone heard about. It was the win that really got me to become more popular, and it was the win that I truly always look at the trophy case. I mean, it's probably right. The Evo trophy is right behind me. It's one of the couple trophies that I've showcased on The Office because it's so unique. The trophy that I'm always going to cherish, and the fact that I won the tournament with such a bad rule set without dropping a game, it's just legendary. I've always been proud of that one at the very least.
So after the streak ends at MLG World Finals, how soon after that did you think, you know what, I'm done with competition. I can create content and be happy?
I wasn't really that successful with content back then, so I knew I had to just keep playing. I just kept focusing on content on the side. And then I realized somewhere around 2016, I was like, I can't really make content anymore because this is taking too much of my time and it takes too much time to keep winning. Then by 2017, I realized that this is not really going anywhere. Like I'm just kind of just winning tournaments for the sake of winning tournaments. I'm not really taking it a step forward. This is becoming stagnant. So that's when I decided to quit.
So 2018 is really the year where you focus on content, and now here you are signing with Facebook, monumental deal like we mentioned there.
Right.
Do you ever at any point in your day, I know you've been to a couple of Smash Ultimate events, Summit, etc., but does any part of you at all have that sort of competitive passion or itch to want to even just go to a tournament or two?
I mean, sometimes I do feel like I could win some of these tournaments if I really put my life into it. But then again, I don't feel like putting my life into it is worth it anymore. So no, I mean, it's kind of just like maybe like 1% of me is just like I could win that, but I don't really want to try to win that. Like the amount of work that it will take is just not worth it for this point in time in my life. And then also it's just the fact that I know for a fact that I'm not going to have fun doing it. So like it seems better as a dream than it really is in practice. And like I don't really think it's just going to happen anymore because it's just like I mean, I really haven't been a big fan of Ultimate as a competitive game personally. Anyway, like I feel like the direction they took with Smash Four moving forward, I don't really like it personally. Like, I definitely know a lot of people enjoy it, and I think that's great. But personally, for me, I like the older Smash games better as competitive games. You know, different than like just playing the game normally casually, right? For me, when it comes down to like the super try hard, super into it, competitive type of game, for me, when you're grinding hours and hours and hours of the same matchups, the same scenarios and all that, when it gets to that point for me, Ultimate, I wasn't really feeling the love. It's just I will have to force myself, to just grind out those hours, and it's really hard when you have to grind something to the wall and you don't truly love it, right? It becomes hard. Like I did that with Smash Four. It wasn't my favorite game. I did it. I was really good at it, but like it kind of just felt like it felt more like clocking in to work 9 to 5 for a job you didn't like, rather than like the dream job of being a pro gamer should feel like, right? And that's when I was like, that's when I realized I should probably do something else. And now we're here.
You've given us a lot of time. I have one last question for you. Again, ZeRo signing with Facebook Gaming, big announcement, particularly for the Smash community. For ZeRo, of course, the big arm of Facebook and Instagram behind you, that power behind you. My last question, just about the Smash community at large, the Smash esports at large. What do you think Smash esports and the competitive scene will look like in, say, 5 years?
That's rough because, I mean, 5 years ago, I thought the community was going to probably die. And then, like, Smash 4 came out, and I'm like, oh, whoa, this is going places. Now I'm like, Ultimate, oh, we're going places too. So I don't know, really. I feel like the trend has always been up one way or another. So I think in 5 years, it will probably be bigger than it is today, really. I mean, I feel like the community has a lot of very passionate people that always want to keep pushing Smash forward. And I don't think Smash is ever going to die in terms of a competitive community because, I mean, really, it came from the bottom of the barrel, and now we're here, type of deal. So I think the passionate, talented people that the scene naturally has already, and they're going to have because the scene keeps attracting new talent and new people. I think from that perspective, I don't really think it's going to fail anymore. I don't know if it's always going to be growing, possibly in green numbers, right? Like people come and go all the time, right? It's hard to get new people when the game isn't so fresh. But, I think they're going to keep going forward, especially with a system on the Switch that is so successful. It's the best it's ever been, really. So
I hope that, like, one thing in your video that you made that was really startling was the numbers are among top three. The attendance is maybe first, top three for sure. And the prize money is dead last. And the sponsorships are dead last. It's like, that doesn't make any sense for a community like that, right? Like,
it doesn't.
My goodness. Okay, so actually, one last question: what will your streaming schedule be on Facebook Gaming?
Ooh, that's a great question. To be honest with you, we actually don't have a schedule yet, but there is a schedule that I'm supposed to publish soon because I'm trying to keep these live streams on a very tight schedule.
Okay.
So
so you can't break it here right now. You can't tell us right now.
No, I actually just don't have an idea of what it's gonna look like. I feel like it's something that I'm gonna probably have to work with Facebook Gaming directly to see, what works with them, what works for me, and we're gonna have to like reach a middle point and all that. But there is going to be a schedule, so don't worry. Usually I'll always stream kind of just like whenever I feel like it. I don't know. I don't think that's gonna fly anymore. So we're gonna work on a schedule, and I hope you guys look forward to that.
All right. Well, ZeRo joining Facebook Gaming. Big news in the streamer wars that will no doubt continue into 2020. ZeRo, thank you very much for your time.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.